All right, good morning, everyone. My name is Jessica Garcia. I'm the chair of the Cannabis Control Board, and it is a pleasure to be with all of you here today. Recognizing that we have the majority of the board members present, I am pleased to call this meeting to order and welcome all of you joining us in person as well as remote. Before we jump to the agenda, I understand that we have our former chair with us today, and I really wanted to just start off the meeting by acknowledging her. Thank you her for all her work since we started this great adventure. Did you want to say a few words, Tremaine?
Today, I just wanted to begin my comments with a heartfelt thanks to everyone who's participating in this wonderful project of legalized cannabis in New York State. And more specifically, I want to say thank you to the team who labors daily to serve our communities and stakeholders across this state. I also want to acknowledge every participant who has stood in the gap as we have made strides, mistakes, corrections, and revisions. I want to say thank you to Majority Leader Crystal Peoples-Stokes, who was instrumental in the passage of the MRTA and my role as chair, and to Governor Hochul. Thank you for your continued support and allowing me the opportunity to serve as the first chair of the New York State Cannabis Control Board. The MRTA clearly delineates an independent cannabis control board responsible for policy decision-making and oversight functions. It has been my pleasure to serve as the chair of this board, with each of you, board members, and our former members. Thank you for your trust, encouragement, guidance, and support. Charged with oversight of the integrity of this program, our board service has a duty of leadership that has steadily increased as the agency grappled with changing complexity in the industry, data overload, and management changes. This call of leadership places the burden of informed judgment squarely on the board's shoulders, and it must be handled correctly so it's not draining to the members nor costly to our stakeholders. So please continue to listen to the critical voices on the outside and as well as the inside, because as Milton Friedman once warned, one of the great mistakes is to judge policies and programs by their intentions rather than their results. So wishing you continued success with this and Godspeed as you continue this work. Thank you all.
Chair Wright, you're not done. So I want to spend a couple of moments just acknowledging Chair Wright and all of the work she's done over the past several years. It has not been, and having sat in this role for a little bit over a year, it is not an easy thing to oversee and develop the New York's cannabis industry, but you have done a tremendous job. Your dedication, your perspective, your insight, your commitment to this industry is unparalleled. And I thank you for the work that you've done, the support you've given me, the support you've given the team, and the way in which you've navigated the complexities of this work. With that, I do want to present you with, I picked these out myself. You know I'm a garden person, so thank you so much. Thank you for
I don't think I could have said it better myself, but I do thank you, Tremaine, for everything that you've taught me as we've worked together the last 4 years. With that, let's just run through the agenda for today. It's a packed agenda. After the welcome and opening remarks, we will be approving the minutes from the May 20th meeting, followed by consideration of appointment of the Chief Equity Officer, consideration of adult use applications for approval, consideration of CAURD renewals, consideration of adult use licensee location change amendment requests, consideration of cannabis research license, consideration of certain application with non-viable locations requesting the board determine whether granting the license would promote public convenience and advantage, consideration of administrative appeals, consideration of proposed public convenience and advantage regulations to be made effective, consideration of the 2024 market review report and recommendations, a report from the Office of Cannabis Management, and then concluding with public comments before adjourning. I will note that we have to be out of the room by 1:30 today. I will do my best to get us through the business of this meeting as quickly as possible to leave as much time as possible for public comments. In the event that we can't get to you today, the staff has put out QR codes around the room for you to be linked to the form where you can submit your public comments electronically, and know that those comments will be read by the board and be incorporated into the minutes of the meeting today. So with that, I just want to start off by just saying that I'm really honored to join you today for my first meeting as chair. I want to thank Governor Hochul for the opportunity and extend my appreciation to my fellow board members, the dedicated OCM staff, and the many stakeholders who continue to build New York's cannabis industry with care and conviction. Coming into this role, I carry with me a deep commitment to equity, worker protections, and meaningful access. New York's cannabis market is a national model in progress, rooted in social and economic justice, and I look forward to building on that foundation with transparency and purpose. Today's agenda reflects important steps in supporting the industry's growth, promoting public health, and advancing our goals of fairness and accountability. From regulatory updates to enforcement efforts, we remain focused on a strong, inclusive, and well-regulated market. I look forward to learning from all of you and working together to ensure that this industry delivers on its promises to communities, to small businesses, and to the New Yorkers who deserve a cannabis market built with them in mind. So with that, let's get started. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the May 20th meeting. Can I have a motion to approve? I'll move. Thank you. Can I have a second?
Second.
Any, excuse me, any amendments? All right. If not, can I have a vote? All in favor of adopting the minutes?
Aye.
Any opposed? Abstentions? I vote aye. Great. We approve the minutes. Next, can I have a motion to consider resolution number 2025-41, consideration of appointment of chief equity officer?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Great. Felicia,
Yeah.
can you provide us an overview?
Yes, two things before I begin this one, but also good morning to everyone, the board and my fellow New Yorkers. Before getting to this resolution, I want to take a moment to say a couple of things. First, on behalf of the office and Governor Hochul, at this your first meeting as chair of the board, I want to extend another warm welcome to you, Jessica, and another congratulations to you on your chairship. Co-chairship. Although it's only been a few short full throttle weeks, I can say it's been a real pleasure to work with you in this capacity. From what I've seen so far, I can tell that your experience on the board and your concern for the viability and integrity of New York's cannabis industry deeply informs the path you are blazing as chair. Now, although regulation of New York cannabis market is truly a white knuckle roller coaster ride, I am looking forward to doing this work together. And one thing I want to underscore to all here, and if you might indulge me, Chair Garcia, is that in one of our first conversations, I had mentioned to her that I was struck how often she used the words we and us when discussing the work between the board and the office. Words matter. Words matter to me especially, and you can tell a lot by a person and their perspective by how they show up and the words they use, and truly those words mattered. Second, I'll speak more specifically about this later, but the Compliance Enforcement and Trade Practice Bureau teams have been furiously at work looking at licensee compliance issues, regulatory violations, and lab integrity. As they continue to work on investigating cases in their due diligence, I am particularly looking forward to taking action to hold operators who violate New York's rules meaningfully accountable. As a preliminary, I want to flag a recall that the office issued earlier this month on June 11th, I believe it was, where there were 9 product lots produced by Indogrow LLC, which contained unallowable pesticides. Early this morning, the office announced an expansion of that recall to include 28 additional product lots from Indogrow. For reasons including getting product inputs from out of state, as you all know, inversion. Those products go by the brand names Indie, Grow by Indie, Our Creation, and Grow With Us. For information on this expanded recall, folks should go to, and I'll repeat it twice, cannabis.ny.gov/recalls. Again, that's cannabis.ny.gov/recalls. If you as a consumer have any of the products in the name lots, the office urges you to discontinue using them. You can discard the product or you can return it to the retail dispensary where you bought it, even if you've opened the product. Again, that's cannabis.ny.gov/recalls for more information. And now for this resolution, consideration of the appointment of the Chief Equity Officer. This position and the work that it oversees is the cornerstone and the heart of New York's cannabis industry, ensuring that social and economic equity drive the development of the market now and into the future. As New York cannabis has developed, applicants and licensees need not just opportunity, but real access to resources and programs that move their cannabis business forward. As you all know, the cannabis industry is cutthroat, high stakes, and dynamic, but we have the power vested in the Chief Equity Officer to ensure that New York's equity goals are not sound and fury signifying nothing, but real and realized. One thing I also know is that OCM cannot realize its outward social and economic equity mission without internal alignment and due support. This is why the Chief Equity Officer is also charged with building a team separate from the C team to ensure that OCM has the perspectives, practices, and people in place internally to align with social and economic equity for the industry. And for this critical work, I put forward L. Simone Washington. Ms. Washington is a graduate of the University of South Alabama and holds a JD from Samford University, as well as a master's from Creighton University. She has held positions at Wellspring Philanthropic Fund as its Chief DEIB Officer, at BSR as its Global Director for Equity, Inclusion, and Justice, at Lawyers for Children as its Director for People and Culture, and at Ben & Jerry's /Unilever as its Global DEI Lead and Strategist. Throughout her career, she has contributed extensively to helping promote racial and economic equity in business by consulting with nationally recognized organizations, including the Casey Family Programs, Robert Wood Johnson Foundation, Open Society Foundations, and the Kellogg Foundations. The process to get to this point, believe me, was extensive. And I thank both Ms. Washington and the C team who has been holding things down all this time for their patience. Ms. Washington applied among 443 applicants for the Chief Equity Officer role, sat through 2 rounds of interviews at OCM, then another with the governor's office, another with the board, and 2 more with both Majority Leader Peoples-Stokes and Senator Krueger. After all of this, I finally and gladly submit to the board Ms. Washington for consideration.
Thank you, Felicia. Any questions from the board or comments? Oh, sorry. Here we go.
So I just wanted to express my strong support for this appointment. Ms. Washington has the background that I think we need, and it's critical that we fill this role. The Chief Equity Officer is spelled out in the cannabis law. And to me, the provisions of cannabis law that are outlined there are the center of this position, particularly providing economic development opportunities for C applicants, implementing the social economic equity plan, and ensuring that applicants can move through the process, and that we are creating the conditions in the market for success for business viability. I am pleased with that we have someone who can fill this role and coordinate across the agency to make sure that the C program is always at the center of everything we are doing.
Yes. So I'd like to also express support for Ms. Washington. Being in this work, this is not an easy space to be in right now, but it's needed more than ever. I too would like to stress the importance of being able to focus on your position as it's written in the legislation. Here to support in any way that I can, but I'm so happy and so excited, and the office is quite honestly blessed to have someone with your caliber joining them. So supportive.
Any other comments? All right. So why don't we call it for a vote? And I couldn't agree more with my colleagues, by the way. All in favor, say aye or signify aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Abstentions? All right. We have a new Chief Equity Officer. Thanks for saying a few words.
I'd like to extend my deepest gratitude to Acting Director Reed, the OCM leadership, and members of the Cannabis Control Board for your vote of confidence in my ability to step into the role of Chief Equity Officer. While this is a mission critical and complex job with a lot of moving parts, I am buoyed by the possibilities rather than burdened by the fears that this opportunity brings with it. As the OCM aims to live up to the ideals of and operationalize social and economic equity, it is the role of the Chief Equity Officer to weave a vision that is equally bold and pragmatic, that stitches together the highest aspirations of the staff and the buy-in and partnership of the communities that we serve. In this role, I will bring 20 plus years of technical expertise and, more importantly, community trust building experience that will help build bridges, enlarge the aperture of what is possible, and create an environment in which problems can be reframed as potential. If it is not yet apparent, my number one task is to build relationships across the cannabis industry and the state to understand what the needs are and where we as an agency can have the most impact. And by impact, I mean asking the so what question. This little question is the first step towards driving accountability, and it ensures that we are being responsive, not reactive to our partners. It also holds up a mirror to us as an agency, ensuring that we are walking the talk. In addition to helping to strengthen the connective tissue of this emerging industry, I will prioritize building a shared understanding of equity principles, a foundation that will guide how we operate as an agency and signal to New Yorkers that we are deeply committed to the practice of restorative justice. If the work that we all do as stakeholders in this industry does not serve to challenge the most broken and exploitative aspects of capitalism and center the needs of those who've been most harmed by it, then we've missed the mark. It is now my duty and privilege to ensure that we are adjusting our aim and our direction as necessary to hit the targets that we have set for this collective. I'm looking forward to joining the C team and partnering with you all to make manifest the ethos of equity as set out by the MRTA. Thank you.
Thank you, Simone. Very much look forward to working with you. Our next order of business to keep this moving is if I could have a motion to consider resolution 2025-42, consideration of adult use applications for approval. I'll move. Can I have a second?
Second.
Great. Pat, you want to walk us through it?
No problem. So before the board today is a cohort of 59 adult use cannabis applications, which have cleared the multi-step review process. The applications in this packet include applications from the November and December queues, processor type 3 applications, as well as a handful of CAURD provisional licensees that are now seeking final approval. The 59 applications include 1 cultivator, 12 retail dispensaries, 6 CAURD final licenses, 14 micro businesses, 5 distributors, and 21 processors. If approved, this will bring the total number of adult use cannabis licenses that have been approved to 1,785. I also want to just take a brief moment to give an update on the number of pending applications in each of our kind of different buckets. Okay. Starting with the November queue, which originally included 1,603 applications. 650 of those have received final license. Note, not all are open yet. Typically, there's a delay between receiving that final license and then actually operationalizing the dispensary. 231 have received a provisional license, are in the process of finding a viable location, and they'll be coming back before the board for final approval. 361 applications are pending, meaning their applications are under review, going through the additional info required or enforcement check, background check process. And 361 of these applications have been closed, meaning they were either denied, withdrawn, or administratively closed. I will note that due to recent court action, a number of those licenses may get put back into processing that is actively being reviewed by our counsel's office. And I think we can anticipate that a chunk of those licenses will be put back into process, and we'll obviously keep the board very much abreast of those developments. From the December queue, which includes the different queues depending on the license type. So there's the cultivation queue, processor queue, distributor queue, and a retail and micro queue. There are 2,706 retail dispensary applications pending, 886 micro business applications, 174 cultivation, 113 processors, and 179 distributors. Lastly, our CAURD bucket. It's actually first time the number of provisional licenses is less than the number of licenses that have been issued. So we have 280 CAURD that have received a final license and 260 that remain in that provisional license status. So the office will continue to provide these updates during board meetings on the number of pending applications. Want to do a shout out, of course, to the licensing team for all the hard work of getting through these applications. and happy to answer any additional questions the board may have.
Thanks, Pat. Any questions from the board? If there are no questions, I'll call it for a vote. All in favor of resolution 2025-42, could you signify by saying aye?
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? All right, motion carries. Next order of business is resolution 2025-43, consideration of card renewals. Can I have a motion to consider?
So moved.
A second. Great. Pat?
Thank you, of course. So Part 116 outlines the requirements for the CAURD license. The CAURD license, which stands for Conditional Adult Use Retail Dispensary, is the conditional period lasts for 4 years, but the license is only valid for 2 years, so they need to be renewed after 2 years. There are 2 CAURD licensees that have made it through the renewal process and submitting the required information as required by Part 116. The office is recommending approval for both of these renewals. And just to kind of give a tidbit of what's coming down the pike, due to the injunction back in 2023, there's a gap in time from when we approved additional CAURD licenses. And so if these 2 get approved, these will be renewing those that essentially got approved before the injunction. And then starting in November, December is when we're going to start seeing again the other CAURD applicants that started getting approved after the injunction coming back before the board. So I just wanted to add that as what's coming down the road.
Great, thank you for that. Any questions? Comments? All right, I'll take it to a vote. All in favor, say aye or show hands.
Aye.
Aye. Any I guess that's all of us. All right, motion carries. Or I'll say aye too. Great. Next resolution is motion. Let's see. Can I have a motion to consider 2025-44 consideration of adult use licensee location change amendment requests?
So moved.
Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Great. And Pat, is this you again?
Yeah,
All right.
this is an easy one. So we've been approving amendments for some time. There's an amendment survey on our website for any licensee who's seeking to either do a change to their cultivation method or change location. In the board packet for this month, there are 46 licensees that are requesting an amendment in some form. They've completed all the requirements in terms of submitting required information for this amendment, and the office is recommending approval.
Great. Any questions? All right, no questions. I'll call for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. No, that's all of us. All right, motion carries. Next one that we have to do, can I have a motion to consider resolution 2025-46, I believe we're at? 45, consideration of cannabis research license. Thank you. Pat, are you going to give us the overview? Okay.
So moved.
Oh, sorry. Never mind. Oh, too quickly. Can I have a motion? Can I have a second? Fantastic. Thank you. All right. Now it's you.
So there's one research license before the board today. And of course, we're always very excited to see these when they come through, because research is such an important aspect of this new industry and one of the real benefits of legalization. This particular research licensee is looking into disease-resistant and drought-resistant cultivars for growing cannabis, particularly in upstate New York, with the hope of creating a seed bank from these genetics and plants that are more suited to growing in upstate New York conditions. The office has reviewed and is recommending approval.
Thank you. Now, any questions? Comments? Nope. All right. Then I'll call it for a vote. All in favor, signify by saying or show of hands with aye. Aye. Any nays? Nope. Motion carries. Thank you. All right. Moving along. Can I have a motion to consider resolution 2025-46? Consideration of certain applications with non-viable locations, requesting that the board determine whether granting the license would promote public convenience and advantage. Thank you. In a second.
Second.
Wonderful. Who is walking us through this one? Is that you again, Pat?
So, yeah.
Okay.
And before getting into the details of the resolution, just a reminder, this process for public convenience and advantage allows applicants to request approval for locations that are within the 1,000 and 2,000 foot radius distances from another dispensary, which are set out in the regulations. There's one PCA request before the board today, and it will be reviewed under the current regulations, Part 119.4. For applicants requesting a PCA, it will be a review of their entire application. So if the application is approved, the full application will be approved. If the application is denied, the application will be denied. The particular kind of facts surrounding this PCA, its address is 7301 Niagara Falls Boulevard in Niagara Falls, New York. The applicant's name is We Care Transportation LLC. The nearest active dispensary that is within 1,000 feet is approximately 870 feet away, Cannabis Dispensary LLC. They recently opened in April of 2024. The nearest pending application is outside of that 1,000 foot buffer distance and is roughly a couple miles away. The office has reviewed the information and is recommending that given the proximity of a number of nearby dispensaries in the location already, that we're recommending to not approve this dispensary. And I'll turn it over to the board for consideration.
Thank you, Pat. This one will merit some discussion. Does the board have any comments?
Just a point of clarification, it opened, the other one opened on April 2025, correct?
Correct. Yes. Sorry.
Did you want to add?
So I'm interested to hear from other board members. This is a hard one for me. I feel like this one hasn't presented enough evidence under the criteria, even under the existing standard, which unfortunately are rather vague. But in terms of the difference between them and existing locations, there are a number of other locations in addition to the one within 1,000 feet within the same community. And another distinction that I would make is there does not seem to be evidence of significant community support for this particular applicant, unlike cases that we have looked at in the past. So I'm interested to hear from other board members, but I do have concerns about granting a PCA in this case.
Thanks, Brad. Do the other board members have a comment? Hope?
Yes, I support, Brad's comments in that the applicant did not make a compelling case with respect to differentiation of and compelling need for its business.
Thank you, Member Knight. I'm going to go to you because I'm really, to you, Crystal, because I'm really interested in understanding the potential demand in this area.
Yeah.
Because the volume, the density of dispensaries in that's, I guess it's not so small of a city. I believe it's a population of over 45,000. But it does get a lot of tourism.
It does.
Upwards of almost 10 million tourists a year.
Exactly.
So I'm wondering what the capacity is to really support another dispensary in that area.
Yeah. So Niagara Falls is a heavy tourist area. In fact, I think one of the PCAs that we approved last month, this has well over that traffic. And I do think it supports, I totally agree with the concerns that Brad and Hope have both expressed, but I don't think capacity in this area is an issue or saturation. People from Buffalo, Western New York, we don't just stay in Buffalo, and people in Niagara Falls just don't stay in Niagara Falls. So I think that the traffic is not an issue, and it could definitely, the argument can be made that it would be in the public convenience to have another option.
The other distinction, I don't recall if you made this point, Brad, is that this would be another adult use, not necessarily introducing new product as a micro business would, but rather potentially sell the same class of product that others in the area are selling. At least that's something I'm weighing. It's a very nice location with good parking. It's commercial strip.
Is this the town of Niagara or is this Niagara Falls?
Niagara Falls.
Okay.
Well, do we have any more comments or questions? All right, then I'm going to call for a vote, and seeing as how it's a difficult one, I will I'll call each of us individually. Let me make sure I don't forget anybody here. Member Rodriguez Dabney, how do you vote?
I vote to grant.
Mr. Usher?
I vote against grant.
That was a no. Member Knight?
No.
And I am going to vote in the negative as well. So with that, the motion does not carry. With the next order of business, can I have a motion to consider Resolution 2025-47, consideration to render a decision in the appeal matter, Administrative Appeal 325 Smoke Shop versus OCM. And our board counsel will come up to the table for us.
Good morning, board members. Thank you, Madam Chair. Okay, the resolution before the board is to consider and approve the recommended decision for the administrative appeal filed by the appellant, 325 Smoke Shop, Inc. The appellant takes exception to the decision issued following an administrative hearing with the Office of Administrative Hearings, OAH. It was conducted pursuant to Cannabis Law 138B and Title IX of the New York Code's Rules and Regulations, Section 133.25. The hearing was on the order to seal that was issued by OCM. And the scope of the hearing was whether or not that order to seal was in accordance with the law. The appellant had several exceptions that were noted in the appeal. However, the recommendation is to deny the appeal and affirm the ALJ's decision. Service was effectuated. The appellant's argument was regarding first-class mailing of a copy of the order to seal as opposed to certified mailing in accordance with the statute. However, appellant's own witness acknowledged that personal service was made at the time of the inspection and that the order to seal itself had been posted. And any service defect was merely technical and did not render the court without jurisdiction. The appellant in this appeal also makes an argument that because prohibited cannabinoids were found, OCM did not establish unlicensed activity because no license can be obtained to sell what is prohibited. The appellant also had a cannabinoid hemp license. Despite the appellant's argument, there was evidence that there was cannabis products on site, and there were also products on site that included pre-rolls, inhalation products such as vapes, all of which is prohibited even with a cannabinoid hemp license, which is something the ALJ relied upon when determining there was unlicensed activity. Moreover, the argument overlooks the fact that OCM regulates cannabinoid hemp within the state of New York and any hemp that is marketed for its consumption. The cannabis law doesn't draw a distinction between the various types of licenses, and it doesn't just draw a distinction between the type of unlicensed activity that must be observed before an order to seal is issued. The decision here was supported by a preponderance of the evidence that the appellant was engaging in the sale of products without the requisite license, and it posed an imminent threat to the public health and safety and welfare. This decision was shared in advance of today. It's posted on the website, and it goes into further detail supporting the recommendation. I'm happy to answer any additional questions.
Thank you. Any questions from the board? All right, yeah, with no questions, I'll call for a vote. All in, maybe I'll go one for this one as well. Member Rodriguez Abney, how do you vote on this?
Can you call the question? The recommendation is to uphold the decision?
Yes, to deny.
The appellant's appeal and affirm the ALJ's decision.
I vote in the affirmative.
Great. Member Usher?
I vote in the affirmative.
Member Knight?
Also affirm this decision.
And I vote in the affirmative as well. Next order of business, can I have a motion to consider resolution 2025-49, consideration of public convenience
I think we have 48.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm just going on this.
It's another administrative.
Oh, we have another one. Oh, all right. What do you call that one? All right. Resolution 2025-48, resolution to render a decision for administrative appeal on Wicked Glass versus OCM.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The resolution before the board is to consider and approve the recommended decision for the appeal filed by appellant Wicked Glass. Similar to the last matter, the appellant takes exception to a decision issued by the OAH following a hearing on the order to seal pursuant to Cannabis Law 138B. The appellant takes several exceptions to the ALJ's decision, including, of course, service and some substantive issues. However, the decision or the recommended decision before the board today is to dismiss the appellant's appeal as moot and to remand the matter back to the OAH for further proceedings on the NOV and the cease order in accordance with cannabis law and the regulations. The appeal is moot simply because the order to seal here was already vacated by OCM. The order to vacate that order to seal was issued after the appeal, the instant appeal before the board was filed. The appellant raises also requests for the NOV and the cease order to be dismissed. However, that is not properly before the board because those matters were not adjudicated by the OAH and have not yet reached a final determination. The merits, however, just to be clear, the recommended decision in finding that the relief requested is already been effectuated and that the appeal is moot, it does not go into discussion of the merits of appellant's arguments. It is simply to dismiss the appeal as moot and to remand the matter back to OAH. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions or comments? All right, I'll call for the vote. Member Rodriguez-Dabney.
Aye.
Member Usher.
Aye.
Member Knight.
Aye.
And I vote aye as well. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Let's see, now we go on to the next one, which is, can I have a motion to consider resolution 2025-41? Consideration of public convenience and advantage regulations to be made effective.
So moved.
Can I have a second?
Second.
Second, member Dabney, Rodriguez-Dabney, great. And Pat, is this you to walk us through it?
Yeah. So this reg package originally was put out for public comment in October of 2024, received comments and was amended and put out again for a second public comment period in February by the board. Through this second public comment period, a lot of the comments were similar to the first, requesting that the public convenience and advantage process have a higher barrier to be able to approve those public convenience and advantage regulations. As a reminder, what this package does, there's a number of changes from what is in the current regulations. The first of which is it sets a floor in which if a dispensary is close to another dispensary, that no public convenience and advantage can be considered. So in municipalities where there are over 20,000 population, that floor is set at 500 feet. And so the public convenience and advantage requests would only be eligible between 500 feet distance to 1,000 feet distance. In a municipality that is under 20,000 population, the floor is set at 1,000 feet. So those public convenience and advantage requests will be between 1,000 feet and 2,000 feet, reflecting kind of the 1,000, 2,000 distinction that is currently in our regulations. Another bell or whistle that is in this reg package is the conflicting dispensary that is in the 1,000 or 2,000 foot radius must be operational for a period of 9 months. The justification behind this provision is to give some time for that dispensary to become operational and then also have a better understanding if that area needs another dispensary. Additionally, there is a provision which would limit public convenience and advantage requests when there is a conflict of 2 or more of the same license type. So if there is a proposed dispensary location that conflicts with two other retail dispensaries that would be ineligible for a public convenience and advantage request. However, if one was a retail dispensary and one was a micro business, that would be eligible for a public convenience and advantage request. The regulations also make some changes as it relates to notification to municipalities and the impacted licensees. It adopts the similar kind of municipal opinion process we have at the initial application stage, specific to public convenience and advantage, given community boards and municipalities 45 days to provide an opinion on the public convenience and advantage request, and also requires that when an applicant submits for a public convenience advantage request, they also send the impacted applicants at the same time that they send to the municipality. Lastly, it includes a provision to allow the entities, stakeholders that are involved in the PCA request to be heard and appear in front of the board at a board meeting. So thank you, and happy to answer any questions the board may have.
Thank you, Pat. Any questions, comments?
I support these changes. I think that they will give the board much better guidance and applicants much better guidance about what the standards are. I looked through the public comments and the comments generally reflected an interest in at least these strong provisions, and some people wanted stronger ones, but I think these are regardless a real step in the right direction and will make these decisions much more transparent, I think, for everyone. So I strongly support them.
Thank you, Member Usher. Any other comments? I'm also really pleased that we are creating more clarity of our process. And I look forward to working with the team on developing the process for public, for hearing from both the licensees impacted as well as the community to make it a fair process. So if there are no other questions or comments, I'll just call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you, everyone. Next order of business is, can I have a motion to consider resolution? Sorry, I'm not very good with these technology here. Resolution 2025-50, consideration of adult use cannabis market overview and recommendation. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second. All right, and this is you, John. Great.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, board members, and thank you all for being here. The office is very pleased to present the first ever market report to the board for consideration. Per the cannabis law, the board is directed to review the impact of licenses issued that have captured substantial market share in any license category to determine if, within the first 2 years of the program, if such licenses are impairing or impeding achievement of the law's social equity goals or negatively impacting fairness for small businesses and distressed farmers. The law also directs the board to assess if there are adequate supplies of cannabis in the market and identify ways to prevent marketplace domination by any individual operators. This report, which covers the market through the end of 2024, provides the most comprehensive assessment of market conditions that we've developed to date. It includes a detailed analysis of the number and types of licenses that have been issued through the end of 2024, the state distribution of social and economic equity participation across this market. We've looked at trends in product sales, including the regional distribution of sales and trends in wholesale transfers between suppliers and our retailers. The report also provides the most comprehensive view to date on product sales by category, including analysis of pricing and package sizing trends within individual categories. It reviews the regional performance of dispensaries, establishing a baseline for our regional operators, and compares performance across regions so we can better understand how this market is emerging, not just statewide, but at the regional basis as well. Critically, the report also provides a detailed analysis of aggregated brand share, showing how brands are performing overall and within the individual categories that they're participating in. The final section of the report presents some of the national cannabis industry dynamics that could have implications for the state of New York. The report analyzes the disruptions experienced in markets, including the disruptions experienced in markets that are experiencing acute instability, including we've seen sharp declines in the number of licensed businesses in mature markets. We've seen declines in tax revenues where licensees have exited the market. We've seen acute price compression in markets where competition has intensified, and we've seen surging delinquency in payments as businesses have experienced capital crises. Notably, this report was produced while the market was still very early in its growth, and therefore, while there are important signals to observe in this market, this snapshot does not necessarily reflect where the market will ultimately end. For example, in the first 2 years of sales that are covered in this report, the market generated approximately $1 billion worth of sales. However, just in the first 6 months of this year, we're already at nearly $700 million in sales, so suggesting and reflecting the very dramatic growth that we continue to experience. However, the report does reveal several indicators of market concentration that we're paying close attention to and will continue to monitor. So, for example, as we reviewed these data through the end of 2024, there were 513 brands in the market, but just the top 5 brands accounted for 21% of sales, and the top 50 brands out of 513 accounted for nearly 70% of sales. While that certainly suggests that there's some concentration happening at the top of the market, it doesn't yet account for the hundreds of licenses that have been issued both during the period when the report was being produced and since the report has been produced. And so just since the beginning of this year, the number of licenses, the number of brands in the market has grown from a little over 500 to nearly 600 brands. And those brands are all now jockeying for market share and jockeying for shelf space, a reflection of the continued growth in this market, but the importance of understanding how these trends continue to evolve. The report concludes with recommendations for how the board can continue to steer the market toward healthy, sustainable growth. One important recommendation included in the report is to allow adult use cultivators to transition to indoor facilities, which will help in addressing the limited availability of indoor grown flower and increase the stability of the supply chain. There are other recommendations in the report, which include to continue to review the health and growth of the market, to enable the board to make timely, well-informed decisions about the future of this market. We also recommend continued investments in our Compliance and Trade Practice Bureau efforts to ensure that, because compliance adherence is a critical tenet of building an equitable and sustainably competitive market into the future. Now, in the interest of time, we understand that this brief overview does not do justice to the substance of the report. But I would like to deeply thank all of the teams, both internal and external, that contributed to the production of this report. We also want to thank all of the entrepreneurs and industry stakeholders that have built the market that we're reporting on in this. And indeed, as well, the leaders, both at the board and at the office, who have done the incredible work of laying the foundation to get the market to where it is and seeded the growth that is yet to come. We very much look forward to continuing to build on this work and to continue to share timely updates on the size, growth, and evolution of this market into the future.
Thanks, John. Any questions from the board? I just have one. I don't want to bury the lead, but among the chief recommendations that are in the report that we are supporting is to change the cultivation method for cultivators. These are for conditional cultivators who will be impacted. Who are we looking to impact in that change?
That's right. So the adult use conditional cultivators were precluded from growing cannabis indoors. And so as they were transitioning, they were only eligible to transition into the licenses that they were previously eligible for. This would allow the AUCCs, some who have transitioned to either remained outdoors or transitioned mixed light. It will give them the option to now be able to participate in either indoor tier 1 or tier 2 cultivation if they so choose, creating a little more flexibility in the marketplace and harmonizing the access to the different cultivation tiers for all of our producers.
And this does not increase their canopy. It just gives them an opportunity to change how they cultivate.
That's right. So the goal here is to try and keep the amount of kind of supply proportional. So if you're moving from a tier 4 outdoor, you've been moving to a smaller indoor with expectation that you'll be getting more cycles out of it. So by way of reference, our indoor cultivators are getting between 3.5 and 5 cultivation cycles per year. Our mixed light producers generally are getting around 2 cultivation cycles per year, but our outdoor producers can only harvest once per year, generally in the fall. And so this will allow for, this accounts for that in terms of how they will be transitioning from a larger outdoor canopy to a limited indoor canopy with the assumption that you're getting more cultivation cycles.
Okay, thank you. If there are no other questions, I'll call for the vote.
I do have a question.
Sure.
I'm just not sure how to phrase it. I guess I wanted to piggyback off of yours. So does this impact people awaiting for their cultivator license now?
It doesn't. So
Okay.
the intent here is, at least with this change and the option being given for folks to be able to transition to a different cultivation environment, the goal here is to try and keep the amount of square footage for canopy, the amount of production area, consistent. So this is not intended to reduce kind of further cultivation opportunities for people who are still waiting in line. And indeed, we expect that we will continue to issue cultivation licenses to meet the growing demand in the state.
Okay. Thank you, Jen.
All right, any other questions? All right, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor of adopting the recommendations in this report, signify by saying aye or show of hands.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries. Thank you, John. And now we move on to the part of the agenda where we get to hear from our esteemed executive director and her team. Oh, back to John. All right. Here you go.
The John Show.
Thank you all very much. I'm delighted to have my colleague, Kevin Brennan, who is our new Deputy Director for Market Analysis, join us to present the market update for this cycle. Kevin is going to be leading and is leading the very robust analysis work that we have been doing, including the production of the market report. And, you know, this, I think, is just a very exciting reflection of the continued growth of the office's resources and the continued growth of the office's capabilities to ensure that all of our stakeholders, licensees, applicants, community members, investors, and other partners are deeply attuned to the evolution of this market. So with that, Kevin.
Thanks, John. Good morning, everyone. So this market update is going to be broken out into 2 very brief, I promise, sections. The first one, looking at licensing decisions already made and what's still in the pipeline for both retailers and cultivators. And then the second section is going to be the more sales-oriented analysis that we typically show. Please stop me if the board has any questions as we're going through this. All right, next. Oh, we're on the slide, cool. Right. As of June, New York has 409 open dispensaries across all ESD regions in the state. Based on the population of the state, New York right now has 1 dispensary for every roughly 50,000 people. These dispensaries have an average sales per store of about 3.75 million. Store performance does vary by region, though. So if you look at the graph on the right, it plots every region by store density and store performance. As you can see, regions with more stores relative to their population, like Western New York, North Country, and Southern Tier, underperform regions with fewer stores relative to their population, like Mohawk Valley, Bronx, Staten Island, and especially Long Island, which is getting the Hawaii treatment. It's so far away from everybody. So this is also true at the state level. So you can assume as more stores continue to open their doors, that 3.75 million is likely to decline. Next slide, please. As I mentioned on the prior slide, New York has 409 open dispensaries, but they also have a lot in the pipeline. This includes dispensaries that are licensed but not open, and dispensaries that are pending a decision from the CAURD in November queue, which when you add to the open dispensaries gives us over 1,000 potential retail locations from the CAURD in November queue alone. If you add the roughly 3,600 retail applications from the December queue, you'd have roughly 4,700 potential dispensaries. Not everybody will open their doors, but this is illustrating the high-end scenario if we review every application and everybody who's reviewed opens their doors. 4,700 locations would give New York 1 dispensary for every almost 4,200 people, compared to the one per maybe 50,000 from the previous slide. This would make New York one of the most retail dense markets in the country relative to its population. Even if 50% of that 4,700 wind up opening their doors, that still puts us number 4 among our peer markets. Next slide, please. Okay, so we talked about retail on the previous slides. Now we're going to take a look at cultivation. This slide shows how much canopy we have authorized, not how much people are utilizing, just the maximum that they are allowed to grow. First, let's look at how much authorized canopy has already been approved. This is the green bars on the chart on the left. In total, 8.1 million square feet of canopy have been approved, most of which is outdoor. If all 8.1 million square feet are activated, which again is the high end, given that some folks aren't yet operational and many who are operational aren't utilizing 100% of their authorization, we would have enough biomass to accommodate 183% of next year's retail demand. If we exclude the ROs, who can grow up to 100,000 square feet of canopy, but not all of that will necessarily service the AU market, and they're not necessarily using all 100% of their authorization, that number would drop to 130% of next year's demand. If we add the canopy not yet approved, which is the orange bars, New York could authorize up to 14.7 million square feet of canopy, which is enough to accommodate 5 times next year's retail demand, assuming everybody who is approved operates and utilizes 100% of their authorization. Again, this is meant to show the high-end scenario, but does illustrate that we have a lot of capacity licensed and in our pipeline.
Kevin, is that based on, I'm sorry, the current number of retail dispensaries, or projecting if we were to, like, how many are you? How are we assuming demand here? What's the?
So it's looking at kind of what this year's sales have been and the number of stores open, and projecting that we're opening stores at a similar rate to what we have been previously.
Which is like what, 25 a month? Or
something like that. Yeah, I think so. Like, yeah, 25 to 30 on average. Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. How are we doing on time?
We're fine.
Good. Okay, cool. Next slide, please. All right, so now I'll walk through the retail sales trends. So program to date, New York now has 1.7 billion in total retail sales, with almost 700 million coming in 2025. Monthly sales have grown month over month for 5 straight months, and June is on pace to make it 6 straight months if it keeps up. Monthly growth has slowed, though. If you look in 2023 through mid-2024, sales were growing at a faster rate than they are now. Starting in late 2024, sales, while still growing, have begun to plateau a bit. It's still going up, but just slower than it was. Next slide, please. That plateau is due to sales per store declining. Locations continue to open pretty consistently, as you can see on the green bars, but sales per store has declined for 9 straight months, starting in August of 2024. Some good news is this decline seems to be slowing. It's still declining, but at a slower rate than it was in late 2024 into early 2025. Next slide, please. All right, this is the last slide. So on this slide, we wanted to dig deeper into that sales per store decline. The bar on the left shows sales per store from August 2024, which is when that decline began. On the right is sales per store from May 2025, which is the last full month of data that we have. Over this time, sales per store dropped 32.1%. We analyzed 3 factors to understand what's driving that decline. The first one is price. The price bar shows how much sales per store declined from only changes in price. The second is volume per store. That bar shows how much sales per store declined only from changes in the amount of product being sold in stores. Third is product mix, which just accounts for changes in consumer preference. So maybe in one period, people were buying more vapes, which are maybe like $50 or $60, and now people are buying more beverages, which are $5 to $10. So it's just to make sure that we're not artificially counting things in price or volume. But it's pretty insignificant on this slide, but we did want to make sure we broke that out. The insight here is that both price declines and volume declines weighed on retailers, but volume was most significant, making up about 75% of that decline from August to May.
You said, repeat that again. Volume is
responsible for 75% of the decline from August to May. So individual stores selling less product than they were in the previous period. Although price weighed a little bit on it, most of it was from less product being sold in an individual store.
Because of demand. So demand is down.
Well, demand across the market is up, but per store it's down. Yeah.
And that's a function of more stores opening. So
Yeah.
it's the kind of market dynamic we've been talking about for a while here, which is as you increase the number of retail access points within a given community, then the average sales within that community per store are going to decline, even though the total sales within that community increase.
Do you have, I realize, I don't know that I asked this question. We've asked this question before, but I don't know if we asked it in preparation for today. Do you have data on how the value of our product compares to nearby states?
We have some data on that. We can look into it a little bit further though and present it at a future meeting or between meetings.
Thank you.
Sure.
The last time we looked at it, we were heartened to see that New York has some of the most kind of compelling price spreads between the value categories and the premium categories that we've seen in some of our neighboring markets. There's something for everyone in the market at this stage. We've seen a very significant increase in particularly value categories in the market. So pricing is getting quite aggressive, but that is partly driven by existing brands lowering their pricing, but I think actually driven more by new entrant brands who are coming in value categories. We're still seeing brands entering at the premium end of the market, but there's definitely, more aggressive pricing happening in the market as we're seeing more brands into the space.
Thanks.
So that's it for me. I just want to make one note to everybody. We added an appendix to this month's deck. Since the deck's posted online, we added some more slides like the regional views that we usually show, as well as some supplementary views to what I presented today. So if anyone's curious, feel free to check them out after the meeting when the deck is posted. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Do we have any comments, questions from the board on the report?
I guess just how, looking at the numbers we're seeing now, how does you have a sense as to how this impacts consideration of future consideration of licensees, both at the cultivation level and retail, in terms of how we're making decisions about rolling out these? I mean, obviously, we 480% of growth capacity or of product sales would overload the market in dangerous ways, but that we're nowhere near that. So how do we think about this going forward?
I think that's a $1 billion question as we think about the outlook for licensure in this market. And maybe I'd say a couple of things. One is the potential licensed capacity, or even the capacity that has been licensed so far already, hasn't been fully activated. And so I think it's important to give a little bit of time to see how the existing licensees, how much of their capacity is operationalized. So how many actually open their doors, and of those who open their doors, how much of the canopy do they end up using? We're in the process of deploying a survey for our licensees, particularly to capture the new cohort of folks that have been licensed, to better understand when they anticipate operationalizing, what they're anticipating bringing to market. We would recommend doing another comprehensive market review as we get to the end of the year to see how much output we got from our current producers and how much additional capacity the market could support moving into 2026 and beyond. And critically, I think the non-open rates are going to be a really important determining factor. There's a significant amount of the capacity that we've licensed that has gone to micro businesses, but we have seen quite a long lag in terms of micro businesses getting their doors open. And that's partly driven based on the feedback we're hearing from the challenges raising capital. It's proving to be a really tough capital market out there for the micros, and for micros who are building in controlled environments. Building an indoor facility can run you a couple $1 million, which can be difficult to raise. So we'll be monitoring very closely the kind of emergence of our licensees through the end of the year. We'll continue to update the board. We'll provide another very substantial update on how much capacity has been activated and how many licenses have become operational. And I think that can be used to inform how much more capacity we will need to license or we can license moving forward. As it currently stands, I think we're in agreement to continue to issue kind of licenses prioritizing retail, but the goal here will be to really monitor how we perform through the third and fourth quarter and take stock, given how many new licenses have been issued that aren't yet operational.
Do you have a sense of how long it's taking licensees? I mean, you might have said this earlier. Apologies. How long it's taking licensees to become operational, and what the I don't want to call it success, but what's the completion? Like what rate of our provisional licensees are actually opening doors within the expected time frame?
So we're working through that data as we speak, and because we've been on, and kudos to the licensing team for being on such a tear over the last 6 months. We don't yet have a full kind of cycle to be able to assess how many of the folks who are newly licensed, particularly among the over 200 micro businesses that have been licensed, have opened or will open. The lag is going to be long, so basically the folks who are licensed at the beginning of this year will have through the end of the year to get their doors open. We have been estimating that all net in, there'll be a 30 to 35% ballpark non-open rate, but it's still too early to say that definitively.
Member Knight, Member Rodriguez-Dabney, do you have any additional questions or comments? So, and you said, I think Pat might have told us earlier, to get through the November queue, how long do you estimate will take us to get through that cohort?
Yeah, so we still have several hundred licenses to get through in the November queue. There's some that have been currently touched that are in process. And then there's the issue which we've talked about in the last 2 board meetings for the November queue litigation, in which the applicants or licensees have sued for a second and third license within that November queue. If the combination of the timeline required to review the remaining applications that have already been begun and are in process, plus any additional re-review of applicants for that second and third license, that's likely going to be at least a 4 to 6 month process. So realistically, at the pace at which we are going, it's going to take us through the end of the year to get through the remaining November queue before we even begin the December queue. And, we are going to have to complete the November queue before we begin the December queue.
Okay.
At least for retail. There are supply side licenses within the December queue, and the supply side licenses are moving a little bit differently. So those we can be issuing, but the priority is to continue to issue. We suggest that the priority continue to be to issue retail licenses, given the amount of capacity that's been activated, so we don't end up with imbalance we faced 2 years ago, where we had a lot of production and not enough sell-through channels.
Yeah, that is a concern, and we need to see how the grower showcase also get implemented and how successful they are now that they can do that year round. So it sounds like we encourage you to continue processing this. I guess there's no reason to slow down the supply side on the December queue at this rate. Yeah. You'll get us a market analysis in the fall to let us know how we're doing, and I understand we'll have a lot more robust data by then.
Absolutely.
And then continue prioritizing retail. We're good with that, right? All right. So stay tuned, everyone. Hopefully by the fall, we'll have more clarity of when we'll officially opening the December queue for retail. All right. I guess continue on with your report. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So next we have Julius coming up for the C update, and then I'm going to take care of the Trade Practice Bureau. Thank you, Julius.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Good morning. Today my name is Julius Caranda, working the Social Economic Equity team for the Office of Cannabis Management. Today we will be having our Social and Economic Equity update. Okay, this is the fee status for today's licenses issued. 47% of adult use licenses issued today are C-owned. Of those licenses, 68% are minority-owned businesses, 48% are women-owned businesses, 12% are from communities disproportionately impacted, 8% are service-disabled veterans, and 8% are distressed farmers. Please note, licenses may be counted multiple times if they are approved for multiple types of C categories. Just want to have that note. Next slide, please. Okay, these are our C stats since the inception of the adult use program. 56% of all adult use licenses issued are C-owned. Of those, 47% are minority-owned businesses, 57% are women-owned businesses, 14% are TDI, 7% are service-disabled veterans, and 7% are distressed farmers. Once again, please note licenses may be counted multiple times, as in the previous slide. Next slide, please. All right, and now we have our C across the supply chain numbers. Equity is represented throughout all license types. So 38% of our adult use cultivators are C, 50% of our adult use processors are C, 46% of our adult use distributors are C, as well as 59% of our adult use micro businesses are C. And last but certainly not least, 79% of our retail dispensaries are C. Next slide, please. And now we just want to talk about our CAURD grant program. So currently, our grant applications are closed. 227 applications were received. Of those, 159 in total will be funded. Currently, 52 awardees have received funding so far at about $1.557 million. An additional 107 applicants have been approved. Applicants received approval notice and will be prompted by our grant administrator Ford to send banking info this month. 59 of those were denied due to funds being exhausted. 7 and 9 were due to ineligibility, non-active cards, and 2 denied due to unresponsiveness. That is, I guess I will conclude the C update unless anybody has any questions. We'd be happy to answer any.
Any questions from the board?
Just the percentage this time lower, was that based on the kind of applicants that were approved this time in terms of
the percentage of this of C
the applicants as the 47% was lower than we've had in recent months and lower than our overall figure. So just curious if this is hopefully not a trend, but just based on the kinds of licenses that were approved or.
Yeah, I believe, I don't think it's a trend. I think it's just based on the licenses that were approved for this month's board meeting. A good flag, great question.
Well, we're also getting to the end of the queue and we had prioritized the lottery assignments to prioritize C applicants. So we are going to see less C applicants at the end of the queue
Right.
in the November cohort.
Yeah, thank you. That's a great point.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll even that out with the December queue.
Okay, absolutely. Any additional questions?
Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. Have a good day.
Thank you, Julius. All right, so I'm going to speak really quickly on the Trade Practice Bureau. Next slide. So I will say for just my experience working with both Steve and Jim, who does compliance and trade practice respectively, that I have learned quite a lot about what is happening in this industry. And so right now, the trade practice team, oh God, whoever's, someone's.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'll just throw it out the room, whatever you want to do. So right now, the Trade Practice Bureau has several investigations open coming out of some initial work we did a couple of months ago around processors and labs. So I will say for folks who have been part of informing that work, I just want to remind you that if you do contact the Trade Practice Bureau, that commentary, that work, that engagement is strictly confidential. And so we appreciate folks who have come forward to sort of give the Trade Practice Bureau team the scope of information about what they know is going on and the issues across the market, highlighting, of course, inversion, which relates to the recall this morning, as well as license stacking, TPI violations, cross-tier and undue influence. Those are all part of the cases that the Trade Practice Bureau is looking into. The process, of course, I mentioned tips, and we get tips from many, many sources, often very late at night. And also we're doing witness interviews. Next week, we are scheduled to do our first under oath deposition. And so that is particularly exciting for the Bureau. As a matter of staffing, I am glad to announce that staffing is growing. We have brought on board a deputy director for the Trade Practice Bureau, Shoshana Brown, who has incredible investigative experience. So looking forward to bringing in her experience to grow the team and grow the work. And of course, we've had several case settlements, both historically and pending, particularly around inappropriate white labeling of brands and licensees. And so with that, what I do want to just underscore is that this is the kind of work that this office takes incredibly seriously. I love accountability. And so as folks are moving through this work, I know there's a lot of questions about when the office will, make larger moves to hold licensees accountable. Again, my perspective is always due diligence, because I understand that this body of law, this work is novel in the state of New York, not just the state of New York, but nationally. We are one of the very few jurisdictions with such a bureau. And so in that, we also recognize that a lot of these cases are going to be the first of their kind. And my preference and demand is that when we bring these cases forward for either administrative review or potentially prosecution, they are perfect. So just letting folks know that the work is ongoing, and please appreciate your support and collaboration, but also your patience as we work through all of this. So almost said any questions, but I can't. All right. I think that is it for the office. One thing I just want to say is this is John Kagia's last meeting for a little minute. He is expecting twins, and we will see him. We're all very excited to babysit. But we so appreciate the work that you and the energy that you've put into the team and building the team. We will miss you in your absence, but we got it. All right. I think now is public comment, and we are action.
There were no questions from the board on the
any
Trade
questions
Practice
on the
Bureau?
Trade Practice Bureau?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you so much, Felicia. So now we are going to begin the public commenting period. Just a reminder, the board or the agency is not answering questions. But we certainly welcome any member of the public to take this opportunity to share your thoughts. Each member of the public addressing the board will have no more than 2 minutes to speak on agenda items. And we do have a timekeeper. Who's our timekeeper? All right, Asia's our timekeeper, so please look to Asia to know when you're close to your 2-minute mark. Reminder, we have to be out of here by 1:30, and we did have a lot of folks sign up. So you can always submit your comments virtually if we don't make it to you. Our first speaker, I believe, is Assemblymember Grace Lee. Is she still here? Okay, did you want to speak? Wonderful. Yeah, if you could come to the mic.
Good morning. Thank you for the opportunity to speak today. My name is Garrett, and I'm here on behalf of Assemblymember Grace Lee, who represents Lower Manhattan and works closely with Community Board 1. Stevie 1 has been on the front lines of the cannabis rollout, and while they continue to support dispensary applicants in good faith, they have a serious concern with how the 500-foot rule is being applied, or more accurately, misapplied. The cannabis law is clear. Retail dispensaries are not to be located within 500 feet of school grounds, as defined by the education law, which includes not just the school building, but entrances, exits, and the surrounding grounds within the legal property boundaries. Yet in practice, the Office of Cannabis Management has adopted additional criteria, such as quote, unquote, exclusive use and quote, unquote, same road. These qualifiers are more narrow and have allowed dispensaries to be sited dangerously close to schools, including in some cases the same building. CV1 has submitted comments, met with OCM staff, and flagged specific examples, including a dispensary site on Hudson Street, just 350 feet away from 2 schools, where the law was not enforced as intended. The community board also continues to be concerned that proximity protections do not apply to CAURD licensees when it comes to youth facilities and playgrounds, a carve-out that the board respectfully believes needs to be re-examined. Assemblymember Lee shares these concerns and urges the Cannabis Control Board to ensure that regulations reflect the letter and the spirit of the law. We ask that the Cannabis Control Board work more collaboratively with community boards that know their communities intimately. Their recommendations should be respected and taken seriously while considering licenses. The safety and well-being of our children must remain our priority as the cannabis industry grows in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you. Next up will be Hugo Rivas, and if Josh Eliachas could line up to go next.
1 2 1 2.
Started.
Ready? Thank you very much to the OCM staff, to the Cannabis Control Board staff. Thank you to Felicia Reed and Tremaine for the work they have done. And we welcome Jessica Garcia and Simone Washington. We also want to shout out organizations that are making a big difference in New York cannabis industry, like CANI and the Cannabis Retail Alliance of New York. My guy Jeremy, big applause to him, and the Long Island Cannabis Coalition, obviously. So we're here to talk about a little bit about Long Island. We've been asking for your help. We need opinion letters, right? We've been asking for the opinion letters for a while. We have so many cases right now that we need the opinion letters in order to proceed. The towns over there, they're imposing their own regulations. They're not following what the state is asking for. And it's really obviously causing so many difficulties financially and many other things with the licensees on Long Island. So we need your full support. You know, the Long Island Cannabis Coalition has been doing a lot of work to kind of make that happen, but we're just a little bit of people. We have a little bit of funds and we have a big heart, but you know, we need help. That's the opinion of this. Also, we want to mention that we need support for the cultivators and the micros out there. They're the ones that are really the true people, the ones that have been, you know, the cannabis that they bring into the market. The micros or the legacy people, they deserve a chance to be in the market. So we really want to have more of that real, true New York stuff. Too many ROs, too many, you know, too much of that flower and their products are out there, and they're killing the little brands. Prices, we have to consider all that stuff. So please support our cultivators and our micros. We need that. For the cards. So again, the cards, you mentioned before that there's still like 200 and something cards that are still in provisional. That's 200 things. That's crazy. Oh my gosh. Well, we need your help with that too. So help us out. Thank you.
Thank you. And you can submit your comments online.
Good afternoon. My name is Josh Eliashar, COO of the Highline Cannabis Application 500 in Hastings-on-Hudson. We've been engaged in this process since November 2023. Early on, our proximity protection was delayed because of a mistaken belief that a preschool across the street was on protected school grounds. We met with an official, shared documentation, and explained that the building is owned by Grace Church, not the preschool, is used by multiple 70% multiple non-school tenants, and is zoned as a religious-owned property, not a school, not a church. It does not qualify under Education Law 409, and the office agreed with us, and we were then added to the proximity protected location map just before Thanksgiving 2024. Our full application review began in January 2025. In early April, we were told the review was complete and that our application had been submitted to the CCB for final approval. An OCM agent told us that it was one of the best prepared applications they reviewed. On April 9th, we received a second notice from the office confirming our location was compliant after submitting our certificate of occupancy. Since then, we've received zero further communication. After repeated outreach with no reply, we filed a Freedom of Information request. We discovered that the village of Hastings-on-Hudson had again challenged our location in bad faith. To their credit, the OCM's general counsel defended us in writing and clearly stated that our location was compliant under both the MRTA and cannabis law. Despite that, we've now waited 3 months without a vote and 5 months since the application was under active review. We've received no request for additional information, timeline, no reason, nothing. We followed the law. We provided everything asked of us. We continue to pay rent, running out of time and capital. We're stuck in silence. We don't know why we're being punished. We're asking respectfully and humanely for someone to please give us a clear answer. Please help us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Kenneth Bryman, if Tim Bryman could also line up. Thanks. And then Nima Wiggins will be after that.
So I'm going to wear the hat anyway. The LSCC is amazingly supportive of the community. Everybody knows that. And thank you, Rivas, for everything you've done. Guys, thank you so much. Also, I have to do a little shout out here. I'd like to acknowledge Patrick McKee. We never met in person, but he was my guiding light through my hemp application in 2021 for my hemp processing license here in New York. He was so supportive of us and helped us get to where we are today. And thank you so much, Patrick, for that. So And then basically, is this it? Via Loving Buds, OCM, cultivator 100. Oh, we at OCM, cultivator 100, distribution 73, Proc 92, Gazunk Goodies, NYLLC, Proc 41, distributor 143. Express our sincere gratitude for the immense support you have provided to the state of New York and the cannabis industry. It's both an honor and privilege for us to be part of the pioneering phases of the cannabis industry in New York State. We write to respectfully request that the New York State Office of Cannabis Management grant Kenneth and Kim Bryman, owners of Gazunk Goodies, cultivation license. The operations for the license will take place on the premises of Loving Bud LLC as a co-op grow. It is noteworthy that both organizations are women-owned and family-run. Loving Buds and Gazunk have found exceptional synergy in their collaboration, significantly enhancing each other's opportunities and contributing increased tax revenues to the state of New York. By granting Gazunk a cultivation license to operate with Loving Buds, we will further empower these two small, compliant, family-owned companies to thrive and grow within the New York State cannabis industry. We wholeheartedly thank you for considering our request and for all the remarkable work you have done to make the opportunity possible.
Thank you.
We eagerly await your response.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Nima Wiggins, followed by Eric Larkin.
My name is Nima Wiggins, founder of Take and Toke, a provisional CAURD licensee. 2 months ago, I came before this board to address our PCA waiver requests. We had leased a fully compliant and pre-built cannabis store, the former licensed MedMen location in Manhattan. With support from our community, at the time, we had already waited nearly 3 months for a response to our PCA waiver request. It has now been almost 5 months since we submitted our waiver request. We followed the rules at every step of the process, submitting all required documents and materials, responding promptly, and engaging in our local community in good faith. Yet we still have never been provided an opportunity for the CCB to consider our PCA waiver request. Even worse, the CCB is approving today new PCA waiver regulations that will permanently bar any opportunity to obtain our PCA waiver. This is exactly the worst case fear that we previously expressed in our correspondence and our council's letter with respect to the proposed PCA waiver rules and regulations changes. This is a travesty that would deny the New York cannabis market the opportunity to properly satisfy the needs of the legal market and redound for the benefit of the illicit market. I noticed that there's only a few PCA applications that are being brought up each meeting to be voted on. Is that because there's only ones that's ready to be voted on, or is it that there's only a limited time available for these meetings? The PCA waivers has not gotten a fair chance, seemingly due to purposely delayed processing timelines with no remorse if an applicant loses his or her chances of a license and store location. I could not be more disappointed. My hopes and dreams have been destroyed. How can this happen in a state committed to equity? Thank you.
Thank you. Eric Larkin, followed by Alexander Vayman.
Hi, my name's Eric Larkin. I'm from Loving Buds, doing business as Juniper Jail Cannabis Company, cultivation license number 100, processing license number 92, and distribution license number 73. I'd like to start out by first seconding everything Kenny and Kim said in our attempt to get a license to be co-opted for them, their cultivation to be co-opted under our premises. But first, I'd like to express my gratitude for everyone who makes the industry possible, everyone in the OCM, all the operators who are doing things the right way, everyone on the front lines, as well as everyone who's behind the scenes. I know it's a lot of thankless work, but just know that we appreciate it. Again, just asking for you guys to consider the cultivation license for Gazunk gummies to be operated under our premises, in which we have the infrastructure, the resources, and the synergy to increase the growth and availability of products to the legal market. If this license is granted, if and when, I hope, we have the ability to be up and running very quickly and increase product for this fall's harvest, as well as continuing going forward. So just appreciate everything and everyone here, everyone who does everything to make this industry possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexander Raymond, followed by Jeremy Rivera.
Good afternoon, members of the board, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Alexander Ryman, and I represent Toast Tree LLC. We submitted a proposed location for our adult use dispensary at 1584 York Avenue in New York, 10028. Unfortunately, our submission was denied due to an existing proximity protection granted to a different applicant at 401 East 81st Street. After conducting due diligence, we learned from our listening agent, who also represents 401 East 81st Street, that the applicant who received proximity protection for that address does not and never did have a lease nor any agreement or business relationship with the landlord at that location. In support of this, we submitted a sworn affidavit from the head of the property management to the OCM, clearly stating that no lease exists between the landlord and the applicant. Further, I have in my possession a 4-minute recorded phone call between the licensee and one of the owners of the property 401 East 81st Street, which the licensee openly admits to submitting an address without any authorization. He acknowledges that he has no control or rights to that location and used it under false pretenses. That recording is available if anybody's interested. We contacted the licensee and informed them that we were prepared to take legal action. In our understanding, as of yesterday, June 26th, the applicant formally withdrew their proximity protection claim for 401 East 81st Street, at least according to him. Given the original proximity protection was obtained fraudulently, we respectfully urge the Cannabis Control Board and the OCM to take swift corrective action and grant proximity protection to Toast Tree LLC for our valid, viable location, 1584 York Avenue. We've worked in good faith throughout this process, and we are fully committed to creating a compliant, community-centered dispensary. We simply ask for fairness and clarity as we move forward. I thank you for your consideration. Again, my name is Alexander Weidman. Thank you.
Thank you. Jeremy Rivera, followed by Alessandro Cotton?
Cotton with an E.
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. My name is Jeremy Rivera. I'm the co-founder of Terpros, a minority-owned, justice-involved cannabis dispensary in Astoria, Queens. My business partner and I have been working for close to a year now to bring Terpros to the Ozone Park community. Those efforts have definitely been stagnated. I come here standing accompanied by friends and family who are not here on behalf of the business, but on behalf of the community we serve. In Astoria, we've built more than just a dispensary. We've built real partnerships. We've created local jobs, uplifted area small businesses, worked closely with elected officials, and developed strong, respectful relationships with our community board. And that is the model we bring everywhere we go. And it's the same commitment we bring to Ozone Park. Our experience in Ozone Park has been entirely different than Astoria, though. Not because we've abandoned our commitments or our values, but because we've encountered nothing but obstructions. The Ozone Park Community Board has denied every single legal dispensary that has come before them, not based on merit, but based on stigma. Councilwoman Ariola and the Community Board 10 have constantly placed unnecessary roadblocks in the path of every adult use cannabis applicant, regardless of background, business model, or community support. Unfortunately, myself, my business partners, our local advocates, our lawyers, and our business advisors feel strongly that the OCM and the CCB have enabled this by not considering and or approving our final license. This does not represent the vision of the spirit of the MRTA. The MRTA was created to establish a fair, equitable, and accessible pathway for legal cannabis businesses, especially those led by individuals like myself committed to doing the right thing the right way. What we're facing is not oversight, it's targeted obstruction and threatens the integrity of the entire licensing process. Right now, there are jobs in our community that remain unfilled, economic opportunities that remain stalled, and a state-regulated industry that continues to be undermined by personal agendas and outdated thinking. If we are delayed just past the July board meeting, I feel that we will be unable to continue paying our rent after investing over $600,000 into the business, and we will lose over 18 Ozone Park employees that have been hired, trained, and ready to work. We urge the board to look beyond local politics and recognize the work we've done, values we represent, and the community we are ready to serve. Thank you.
Thank you. Alessandra Cotton, followed by Angela D. Ganby.
Good afternoon. My name is Alessandro Catone. I am the card holder. I am the license holder at Gourmet Buds, doing business as Turp Bros in Ozone Park. We've been ready to open since April. Our store is built. We're fully compliant. We've hired local staff. We've hired, trained, and waiting to work. These are real people from the community whose lives are at hold because of this delay. At our Sawyer location, we built strong, positive relationships with our neighbors, our local leaders. We've operated with integrity and respect. We are ready to do the same in Ozone Park. The only thing holding us back is a negative recommendation from the local community board. We followed every rule, but we're still being sold. And it's taken a real toll on our team and our business. We're just asking for a fair opportunity and to open and serve the community the right way. Thank you.
Thank you. Angela DeGambi, followed by Aaron Thurm.
Chair Garcia, members of the Office of Cannabis Management, after 40 years of advocating for the legalization of marijuana and hemp, it is truly an honor to see you in existence. For 4 decades, I have worked with the church, including the parish of Our Lady of Mount Carmel, and Monsignor Jamie and his predecessor. My roles included missionary, catechist, religious teacher, commissioner, and most recently, executive board member of the Bishop Big East Project Hope. In early 2021, I introduced Monsignor Jamie to Jeremy Rivera and Al Patone, who I have known a lifetime. These 2 amazing young men met Monsignor Jamie on 3 occasions: at Bishop Ignatius Catanello Scholarship Dinner for Catholic high schools, and 2 luncheons to benefit Our Lady of Mount Carmel. At one of the luncheons, Jeremy and Al were presented with an apron, which was part of a campaign of Breaking Bread with Monsignor Jamie, a television cooking show. Aprons are important. They signify service. One of the aprons has Monsignor Jamie's picture on it and Turp Bros. I truly respect the Office of Cannabis Management for their search for the truth in this matter. We have an ambitious politician that wants to just satisfy her voters, and she lied to government agencies and the press. In this search for the truth, the whole integrity of this board and the industry is at stake.
Oh, sir, you've reached time.
I'd like to submit some documents.
Please do.
And pictures that demonstrate my testimony. I thank you very much for this opportunity. May I approach? Thank you.
Thank you. Aaron. Aaron Thurm or Thurman, I'm sorry about that. And Angela Stokes to follow.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning to the board. My name is Aaron Thurman, and I'm a micro business applicant, license number OMCR 2023-00097. And I applied on October 5th, 2023. I'm currently in the December queue of applicants, but when I submitted my application, I relied on guidance I received from the Office of Cannabis Management and submitted a LOI, a letter of intent, along with my lease, which led me to believe that I'd be considered in the November queue of applicants. I'm speaking for myself and a lot of other people are similarly situated. That would be small licensed applicants, that would be legacy people, participators in the market before legalization. We ain't well capitalized. We aren't very familiar with the legal process and how to engage them. But that don't mean we ain't we are competent. That won't mean we aren't capitalized. All I'm asking for is my application to be reviewed, be looked at. I've submitted hundreds and hundreds of emails and conversations with OCM. I still haven't got a straight answer from anybody. I'm not asking for final license. I'm just asking for provisional approval. Somebody to open my application, take a look at it, start giving me the runaround, give me a straight answer. A harm has been irreparable by this time, not for me, but all those similar situated, from losses unimaginable, not just finance. I hear about people crying and complaining about losing millions. What about the people losing single dollars, don't got millions to lose? So please review my application, those similarly situated now.
Thank you. Angela Stokes, followed by Tamika Valgian. She left? Okay. Tamika Valgian, are you here? Followed by Janice McDavid.
Hello, my name is Tamika Valjean. I'm in the December queue for the retail license. I'm number 399. I am asking that there become more resources out there for the C applicants like me who don't have a big people backing or don't have a whole bunch of resources and is trying to make legacy and like everyone else. So I noticed that when researching it, because I have been researching and doing my due diligence and going to conference and things like that, there's not really much hope for people like me. I mean, even though people said that there is help out there and you come to these conferences and we can help you with networking and things like that, I have been there and there's not. I keep getting stopped. And we know that there is a wait for our license to be open, but in this process, we can get ourselves ready if we have resources. So when you guys do call, we can just be ready to have it open instead of now we have to wait again once we become licensed to try to get funding or to try to get any resources to open our stores. So just a little more resources maybe and more transparency for the C applicants that's doing it by themselves and that don't have billions of people behind them and that have that's doing mostly everything but stopping with the resources. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Janice McDavid, followed by Sean Lusberg. And Joseph Lusberg can line up after.
Good afternoon. My name is Janice McDaniel. We had tried to open a retail dispensary. We're underneath the justice involved. My problem is that we have sent in several letters because I had put in for proximity. Proximity was approved in January. But then I had to change the location, which was maybe a block and a half away because I was having problems with the landlord that they did not want that type of program in their building. Put it in, got approved again, all through OCM, that my proximity was good. We're supposed to be opening up in June. We put in over $300,000 to try to get this store together. I don't have that kind of money, okay? Remember, I said I'm justice involved. Now in May, I received early May. They said, oh, there was a glitch in the system. They messed up. I understand you messed up once. 2 times is not a mistake. All of a sudden, I was the only one on the map. Then all of a sudden on the map now comes a building that I never even heard of that they said that they had put in for as per OCM. I went around there, I looked at that building from a small little residential house has turned into a huge building laying almost on top of a store next to it and has so many violations on it. Out of nowhere that this store came. I need some help, okay? I have a 10-year lease. I can't just pick up and leave. I can't afford, I have to pay rent every month on a store that I can't even open. So I need some type of assistance. I've submitted several letters. I had attorneys, it cost me money for attorneys, okay? I'm basically tapped out. So I need somebody to take a look at this and see about maybe doing something, a waiver. I don't want to put in a waiver because I heard if you put in a waiver that you would not be able to get, to be able to submit another application. So I need some help. The organization is Janice Grow Essential Materials.
Thank you. Thank you. John Luxberg, followed by Joseph Luxberg.
Good afternoon, Chair and members of the board. My name is Sean Lussberg, co-founder of Mott's Only New York Style LLC, card licensee number 400. We were one of the first card licensees over 2 years ago. We've spent the last 14 months working in good faith with the town of Southampton to open our dispensary in Hampton Bays. We've invested over $1.3 million, paid rent every month, and followed every rule, every procedure, and every local requirement. We were days away from having our site deemed complete until just one day before the final meeting, we received a letter from the chief building inspector that changed everything. The letter claimed we were within 500 feet of a school, but the property in question is St. Rosalie's Church, which operates a daycare, not a school. Even the planning board had previously acknowledged that the site is zoned and used as a church, not exclusively as a school, as required on both the OCM's guidance and the New York State education law. The determination came suddenly following a private meeting with the building inspector and the reverend of the church, who has publicly outspoken in opposition to our business. And the measurement used in the letter was also incorrect. What's even more baffling is there's a liquor store directly across the street from the same church, subject to the same distancing rules and has never been challenged. It became clear to us this isn't about zoning or safety. This is about politics and stigma. We didn't just sit back, we hit the streets, we met local businesses, residents, community members, and we found what was unexpected. They support us. They support safe access. They support local ownership. They just don't support how this process has turned out. Because we got no support from the OCM or governor's office, we were forced to file zoning board of appeals. We still have no ZBA hearing scheduled while the town continues to delay and obstruct. We are actively being harmed financially, legally, emotionally, and now the town is attempting to rezone the very highway we're located on to exclude dispensaries altogether, a plan that sat dormant for 10 years until our business entered the picture. I'm standing here today to ask respectfully but urgently the OCM's legal team to step in and help us. We cannot continue fighting this alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Joseph Luxberg, followed by Audrey Bonanno.
Good afternoon. My name is
Yeah.
Joseph Lussberg. I'm going to pick up where my brother left off. So after the building inspector last minute sent us that letter to reclassify the church as a school, the town forced us to the zoning board of appeals. They want to change the entire highway to Hamlet commercial. We're zone highway business. If they do that, we will be blocked out. You know, there's a meeting next Tuesday at 6 p.m. to rezone our property. If that happens, all the money that we put into this, all the time and energy will be out the window. We put out press release after press release trying to get your attention. Nobody responded to us. We went to this town board meeting to overturn this potential rezoning, and we saw clearly by everybody there from the town that they were opposed to cannabis. We were showed our property by Jay Schneiderman, the old town supervisor of Southampton. When he was moved out and the new regime came in, they are completely against cannabis. Maria Moore has publicly said in the newspapers that she does not want cannabis coming to her community. We cannot do this fight alone. We need the OCM's help. If nobody shows up to that meeting besides us next Tuesday, we could be screwed. And then all the money that my family and friends invested and trusted in us to open our store. Trust me when I tell you, I will open my store. Whether I have to go to Supreme Court and sue you, whether I have to sue the town, whatever I have to do to open my store, Mott's Hampton Green Grocer, is going to happen. So you either come with me to the Hamptons, you answer my emails. I see John all the time. I email him. I've emailed Phil Rumsey. We hired a lobbyist to come out and come and contact you guys. Nobody has responded. You say you want my emails, you want me to call you till I'm blue in the face. I already called them 4 times this morning. When the fuck are you guys going to come and help us? When are you going to come and help us? The craziest is the Shinnecock has pulled their emblem from the town of Southampton because of what's going on there.
Sir, please submit your comments online and we'll definitely take a look at it. Audrey Bonanno Williams, followed Jocelyn Fenton.
Good afternoon, all. My name is Audrey Bonanno Williams. I'm one of the owners of Cannabis New York, located in Newport, New York, Hudson Valley. Our license number is OCM Retail 2023, the November Q 000996. We're here today to express our growing concern and deep disappointment over the lack of transparency and responsiveness from the Office of Cannabis Management regarding our provisional license and location approval. Our license was approved in February of 2025 with the stipulation that we find a new location or submit our PCA waiver due to a nearby micro business called The Weedery, operating within 800 feet proximity. It's a micro business. Despite submitting our application with an executed lease, we now have a lease holder for over 2.5 years. We've never received proximity protection, which asks OCM never responded or clarified this during our deficiency notice. Yet we just moved forward and quickly submitted a request for a PCA waiver along with all necessary documentation. Since then, the process has become a nightmare, not because of the regulations, but due to the unreasonable delays and lack of communication from OCM. We've made repeated attempts to get updates of clarification, only to receive vague, generic replies that do little to help us move forward. Then unexpectedly, the Weedery, the very reason our denial for the of our PCA, for our approval, has recently closed their doors. Their business is up for sale. We submitted all of the documentation recently, and I want to thank Nicholas Perry for responding to an email finally. And we stand here today asking that you expedite this for us. And thank you very much.
Thank you. Jocelyn Fenton, followed by Haja Ramalanjano. Lanjana.
My name is Jocelyn Fenton, and I'm with Supreme Elevation, which is an adult use, minority, woman-owned retail dispensary application that was placed in the top 100 of the December queue. I stand before you today to dispel the false assumption that the December applicants had no financial investment beyond an application fee in our application process. We were excited to be in the top 100 when the December queue was released on March 11, 2024. But on April 4th, the OCM requested TPI fingerprints within 30 days in 2024. We submitted them April 23rd in 2024, well ahead of the deadline. And the OCM communicated to us the same day and stated, and I quote, "You're all set now. Thank you for your cooperation," end quote. The only step left was a background check, which we welcome given our TPI strong credentials. As a result of that OCM email, we spent considerable time, real money on consultants, on property, on preparation for a final license. Then May 10th showed up. Without warning, an improper and sudden rule change took place, violating SAPA under the guise of a supplemental policy guidance, which prioritized the entire November queue and disregarded the December queue. Enough is enough. Now is the time to review the December queue. I have heard earlier, oh, well, we're going to be doing it. The December queue is almost over. Now it's going to take to the fall. This is not cool. Chairman Garcia, we are calling on you to uphold the integrity of the process and to do what's right. Every December queue applicant that was reviewed, and there were plenty prior to the rule change, should move forward and be granted a provisional license before any second or third application in the November queue showed up. Thank you.
Thank you. Haja Ramalanjana, followed by Sean McGuire.
Hey, how are you? So I am a microbusiness applicant in the December queue. I really echo what the previous speaker spoke about. I'm in the Long Island market where there's 8 retail dispensaries there that are averaging in $21.5 million a year. Us being a microbusiness, we're trying to add to the community. Growers, we've spent a lot of money on investors. We had no guidance whatsoever. I'm pretty sure all of you know the OCM does not respond when you email them. We all know this. So I've been emailing for 18 months, even just asking for a provisional. So I'm not even at the point where I see most people are up here and saying how bad everything is. I haven't even got a provisional yet. And it's just me by myself. I have lost over $50,000 alone. And I know that might not seem big, especially to big places on Long Island like Strain Stars, but to a little guy that's trying to get off the ground, 50,000 is a lot. I've left my other business as an appraiser. I've put all my savings into this. So all I come here to ask is that you get a move on with a December queue, so I don't have to keep driving here and going in front of everybody else who I think we all echo the same problems. And I think we've all read the letter on Reddit, the leaked letter from people who work at OCM, and I'm starting to see that it's not a lie. There are a lot of things that they speak about that are true. And, I do thank all of you for allowing us to speak, all the hard work you have done. But there are smaller people here that, we don't have millions of dollars. It's just me. And I've been hurting. And the OCM, at least the people there, don't even really seem to care, to be honest with you. And that's the attitude that I think a lot of people are getting. And I just wanted to, come here and say, hey, listen, I think I said my application, Dank the Lights, Inc. If you guys can look into it, that'd be great. But I'd also ask you to look into everybody. Everybody else's application. Thank you.
Sean McGuire, followed by Blair McSorley.
Hello, my name's Sean McGuire. I'm here to speak about OCM CAURD 2022-000816 retail dispensary. I'm here today. I'm at the finish line. I have a fully built out dispensary on the corner of 30th Avenue and 10th Street in Manhattan. I received my provisional approval status July 29, 2023. And then we were prompted to sign a lease to move on with the post application. So I signed my lease November 23rd, 2023, which is 19 months ago. So I've been paying $30,000 a month for the last 19 months. It took 7 months to get my proximity protection, which seems pretty crazy. 7 months times $30,000 just to get the proximity protection. This February 5th, I received an email from the OCM asking for my licensing agreement for the name for my DBA. I submitted that to them immediately. Then 4 months later, I received an email asking me to change one sentence in the licensing agreement. Within 24 hours, myself and my attorney submitted the one sentence change. And now it's been 1 month since we submitted that one sentence change to the agreement. We're just waiting on an answer, but from the past 7 months waiting for an answer and the past 4 months waiting for an answer, I just felt compelled to come here and speak about it and put it in front of you guys. It's literally one sentence, like on the, I redlined it. I gave them the executed and the red line so that they need to look at it and just approve it so I can get to the next step. Everything is in with compliance. I'm literally at the finish line. I have employees, rent, insurance, electric. It's been going on for a long time. $570,000 on rent alone, just waiting for responses. And that's my retirement. So I don't know how much longer I could sustain this. I don't think I could wait 4 months for an answer. I might have to stop.
Time, sir.
Can I give anyone any documents?
Yep. Does it have your number on it?
Yes.
I was going to ask you.
Thank you so much.
Blair McSorley, followed by Greg Van Roden.
Good afternoon, esteemed members of the board, the Cannabis Control Board, and welcome Deputy Director Reed. My name is Blair McSorley, and I'm a proud native New Yorker and legal cannabis professional with nearly a decade of experience in this industry. I've dedicated years to this field because I believe in cannabis not just as a product, but as a movement, a community, and a career path that can uplift people, families, and neighborhoods. Today, I speak not only for myself as a professional, but for all the people whose livelihood and families depend on the access to this opportunity. On March 5th of this year, I was offered a role with Happy 123 NYC LLC. However, I was not able to begin work until just this past Monday. That's 110 days of waiting. Sorry, I'm a little nervous. It's 110 days of waiting for a job to begin simply due to the pacing of the licensing process. In March, my husband had to go on disability, resulting in a 40% loss of our income for our household. I pursued this job at Happy 123 NYC LLC because I needed to step up for my family. But like many New Yorkers, I couldn't afford to just simply sit around and wait. I had to continue working at my previous, much more paying job just to keep us afloat. It's a deeply frustrating experience to know that you're qualified, ready, and willing, but unable to start working because the green light hasn't come yet. In New York City, people don't have months to spare when it comes to feeding our families or paying rent. That's why I'm here today to express that Happy 123 NYC LLC is ready. We're ready to open our doors. We're ready to create reliable employment opportunities for legal local candidates, ready to operate responsibly and compliantly in this burgeoning industry. We're not just another business in the East Village. We're a team of passionate and professional people who believe cannabis can unite and heal communities. We just need the final inspection and your approval. Please allow us to move forward, not just for the company. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Van Roden, followed by Kim Stutz. Greg Van Roden or Roland? No. Kim Stutz? No, not yet. Do we have a Kim? No? All right. We're moving on to the next list. There's a lot of you.
I think that's Kim.
Oh, is Kim coming?
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Thank you. After Kim, we have, no, you all don't do me any favors. Marquise Hayes, I think. Yes.
Hello, I'm Kim Stutz, and I have a micro business in the December queue. It's Fuzzy Farmer LLC, and I'm just up here on behalf of let's get those open. Let's get a chance to look at them. There's a lot going on in this industry. I've been in it since 2022 with my partner, and I am a C applicant with another partner in this who's also a C applicant. So I just want to say, let's get to the December queue, please. The micro business, it's essential as part of the whole picture for what we're working on with our team. Thank you.
Thank you. After Marquise Hayes, Jeffrey Hoffman. If you could just line up closer to the mic so we're ready to go.
Good afternoon. My name is Marquise Hayes, founder of Brown Butter New York. I'm going to attempt to sing the unsung for a city that eats its young. My name is Marquise Hayes, owner of Brown Butter New York, a licensed CAURD dispensary located in Southampton, New York. I'm writing today out of urgency and desperation. My business is on the brink of collapse due to ongoing municipal obstruction. I need immediate support from OCM and the Cannabis Control Board to survive. We applied for licensure in September 2022. As part of the CAURD cohort, while initial batch of provisional license was issued later that year, Brown Butter was officially licensed in June 2024. To date, we have invested over $1.8 million of personal and partner capital into building a compliant, community-centered dispensary with delivery operations ready to serve the region. Despite meeting all state requirements, the town of Southampton is actively blocking our ability to launch delivery, claiming that a special exception and full site plan approval are required, even though our location is not open to public and is solely used for secure license dispatch. The town references internal OCM communications to justify this stance, yet their interpretation directly contradicts Law 131, Section 2, which preempts municipalities from creating unreasonable and impractical barriers to licensed operation. As a result, our delivery program has been stalled, our reputation damaged, and our customer trust eroded. We are at risk of losing everything, not due to lack of effort or compliance, but because of conflicting guidance and lack of timely support. We urgently need the Cannabis Control Board and OCM to reaffirm the municipalities cannot prohibit deliveries when no express local law does so. Issues a formal clarification or directive addressing the town of Southampton's obstruction and swiftly to protect equity licenses from delays and misinformation that threaten their viability.
Thank you. Jeffrey Hoffman, followed by Benjamin Charles.
Good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Hoffman. I'm an attorney here in New York City. I also represent a whole bunch of other organizations, including the Cannabis Justice and Equity Initiative, as well as NICRA. I first want to thank the board on behalf of my clients to whom you awarded licenses today, or you approved their change of locations and a variety of other elements. Dickens wrote, "It was the best of times, it was the worst of times." And I do want folks to recognize that. I do want folks to recognize that New York is doing what no other state has done. The number of licenses that are getting in the hands of folks that do not look like me is unprecedented in the United States of America. That is the best of times. The worst of times is what you are hearing through some of these public comments and what you've been aware of from other public comments. Janice, who spoke here earlier, she's one of my clients. I mentioned her situation at a previous board meeting. I do appreciate Ms. Reed reaching out to us with the best that the office could offer, which would be to apply for a PCA waiver. I don't know that you guys making a mistake on proximity protection, that the answer is apply for a waiver that if you deny will be the end of her license. I don't believe that's an appropriate outcome. Many other people here in the room have expressed to you their concerns. I believe that the OCM is woefully underfunded and does not have sufficient staff to deal with the overwhelming task that they are dealing with. I think the office is doing the best they can under the circumstances that they have. But somehow we need to work together to get the answers that the folks in this room need. It is critical. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Benjamin Charles, followed by Angelo LaRoche. Either of them here? Benjamin Charles, Angelo LaRoche. Okay. Thank you, Angelo. After Angelo, we have Evelyn Zapata.
Good day to the board and everyone here. My name is Angelo LaRoche, license number OCM MICR 2400186 from the November queue. I'm the sole founder and owner of Green Club, a craft cannabis micro business, proudly born from my Trinidadian roots, raised in Brooklyn, shaped by my undergrad at Manhattanville in Purchase, New York, and sharpened by my MBA from Cornell University. I created Green Club 5 years ago. Green Club is fully bootstrapped, no investors, just grit, sacrifice, and a belief in this dream. Just me. I finally secured a location at South Street Seaport in Manhattan, a perfect welcoming home for a compliant, community-minded cannabis micro business. But I cannot open. Despite doing everything by the book, approvals, paying rent, electric, internet, build out, payroll, 400K of debt, I'm still waiting on one thing, a virtual inspection. I followed up with OCM several times, and this delay is crushing me. I'm doing everything in my power to keep this alive, and I just asked the OCM to do its part in helping me in this final step. You all have done incredible work laying down the foundation of this industry. I say that sincerely. It's something that many of us probably couldn't do. But I also do urge that you consider revisiting the micro business cultivation restriction, specifically the rule that ties us micros in Manhattan to one county. Allowing a 25-mile radius instead would let businesses like mine operate grow sites in Brooklyn or Queens, where space and costs make much more sense than being forced to grow in Manhattan. In the great words of Michael Jordan, some people want it to happen, some people wish it would happen, others make it happen. We want to succeed, I want to succeed, just want a shot. Angelo from Green Club, OCM MICR 2400186. Thank you.
Thank you. Evelyn Zapata, followed by Martine Aguiar.
Hello, I'm Evelyn Zapata. I'm the CEO of the New York Cannabis Times. I'm not going to give you a hell of a lot of numbers because I'm not a number. Please look at me when I'm speaking to you. Second, I am from the December queue. I am queue number 500. Thank you for that. However, after you closed the queue December 17, 2023, which made me a 35-year-old vet from a corner, right? We had, after you close, we had 65 days after you close, we had a 45-day window to sue you for a speedy process. Under Article 78, you've been distracted, right? You are following the murder, right? But the murder also says that you should treat cannabis as liquor. We're not special. So all these proximity protections, I'm sorry, everybody, some of y'all gonna have to learn how to hustle. From 300 to 500 feet, this is a 20 million population state. That's one. Two, Monday, I'm filing a lawsuit because I'm not on your time. July 29th, 2024, I was diagnosed with a tumor. So I'm not on your time. I want my license. I'm not waiting no 4 to 6 months, man. I'm not. Two lawsuits because I'm a capicua this proximity protection bullshit. Because I am a boss that ruled the corner with an iron fucking panty. And I had niggas at 150 feet. I am not on your time. Forget these 2 minutes. I just told you I have a goddamn tumor. You think I'm on your time?
Man, respectful man.
Yeah, it's coming for those other people. I'm a December Q applicant. The only good thing about this tumor is I'll see my parents. That's great. But Monday, I'm coming with 3 lawsuits. I'm the daughter of a man that beat the FBI by himself and then became a lawyer. My grandfather's a lawyer. My father's a lawyer. My little brother's a lawyer. I'm coming for damages. Fuck your license. You could either give it to me within the next 30 to 60 days. I'm going to give you that 30 to 60 days instead. But you giving it to me. Even if you're giving it to me in a motherfucking coffin, because I'm going to leave my brother with enough damages to shut your ass down. By the time I'm through with you, you're going to have a wing at OCM saying, dedicated to Evelyn. All the Evelyn applicants. People that don't have, because I stopped hustling for y'all. That's what you asked for. You asked us to behave.
Ma'am, it's time. We can talk after. Martine Aguiar, followed by Cos Marte.
All y'all suck dick.
That's tough to follow, ma'am. I pray for you in my prayers. Please. I'm sorry. So my name is Martine Aguiar. I'm application number 858 from the 2022 application. So the social justice way back then. We were granted the provisional license last July, but now we're facing a deadline of this July because you only have a year to get everything in order. My comment is that because we wait so long for the application to get approved and get to the provisional stage, things happen in the interim of that, which, then you have new staff, new this, new that, places where like a lot of these people are complaining about. The email I just received says that literally you are not giving extensions on the provisional license if you haven't completed the other part of it. So I just want to know a way of getting, because these people are waiting to get the provisional, what they don't understand is the next step after that is months and months of more delays or more confusions or more no responses. And then you're put now into a 300, like a year dilemma of you can't get it done and your application is going to completely be thrown out. So I just wanted to know, if there's any way of getting an extension or if you can change that process. So it's application number 858 from the 2022 social justice reform. So it's minority-owned, women-owned, disadvantaged, socially affected, fit all the above categories, had a property that we actually own through a nonprofit organization, all those things that we have. So we had all those things in order, but it was just delays and the non-transparency and not being able to get responses. And now we're facing getting the whole thing just thrown out because once we got the provisional acceptance, you only gave us a year to get the ducks in a row. Thank you.
Thank you.
Help that lady.
Someone on the team can answer your question on process. After the meeting, someone on the team can answer your question on process. Cos Marte, followed by David Nick Ponsky.
Thank you, OCM, for allowing us to comment here, and congrats, Jessica, for having this position. What you just did today, like, gives us hope, I feel like, because people don't really understand that if we flood the market collapsed, right? And that's why we're creating this alliance, CRANI, Cannabis Retail Alliance of New York. We already have 5 operating dispensaries that are aligned, and we have like 20 plus people that are waiting to get on board. So we're launching that July 9th, next in a week or so. So if you want to know more information, anybody that's operating in retail, please reach out. We have a lot of resources that we can offer, so you can not only save money on what you're already spending and just work smarter, not harder. On top of that, I'm here to complain too, because there's how many people are here, right? Like, this is crazy. How many people are here in this room right here? Not many. We could solve these issues right now in this room, right? We could solve Evelyn's issue. We could solve Jeremy's issues in these rooms right here. This is not, we're not dealing with 1,000 emails. There's 100 people here, right? So every month, I took a chance on a location, right? For a CAURD applicant. I lost 40 grand, right? For 7 feet and 10 inches. 7 feet and 10 inches. I took a gamble. I understand the law, right? But it's crazy for these individuals, right? The MRTA was written for the little guy to win, right? The little guy to win, the little small farmers to win, and us to win, that people that's been on the block for years suffering, right? So over 40 feet, that man told me he's fighting 40 feet. He lost $500,000. All right. And then one more last thing, right?
We're out of time. I'm so sorry.
Sorry.
If you could submit your comments online, we'll definitely read them.
I just want to say, thank you for what you did today, because it really gives me hope in this industry that we're going to really analyze this shit the right way and do the right thing for the right people. So let's solve these issues.
Thank you. David Naposky, followed by Omari Eastman.
I very much agree with Costa's last point there about the PCA rejection. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm David Nikonsky. I'm a director of the Cannabis Retail Association, owner, operator, and co-founder of Freshly Baked Family Minority, Justice, and Woman-Owned Retail Dispensary Business. First, a warm welcome, congratulations to you, Ms. Garcia. We're very happy to see you in this position. Welcome. I imagine you all are very tired of hearing me say this every month. I know I'm tired of saying it, but the state and city are dramatically failing at enforcement against the illegal market. Illegal operators continue to operate openly, confusing customers as to who are legal retail businesses and who are not. And there continues to be no effective enforcement action being taken to fix this in Bronx County. For the last 14 months, I've been repeatedly reporting the dozen closest illegal stores around us to both the city and state enforcement personnel and reporting systems. I simultaneously send copies to individual staff members, enforcement leaders, elected officials, and the State Tax Crimes Enforcement Division. All of these groups have promised enforcement around our store. We were specifically assured on January 7th of this year that they would be prioritized and handled soon by New York State's Director of Enforcement. I am sure you know where I'm going with this. Here we are 6 months later, and we've just hit a milestone during the recent street fair around our store. The grand opening of a new illegal dispensary, meaning there are now twice as many of them open within 3 blocks of us as there were when we opened 14 months ago. That's insane. This happened during a children's fair. The fair was surrounded on all sides by the other 5 closest illegal stores. We sent evidence of this to the sheriffs and the state well in advance that this was happening. Receipt of this was acknowledged by the New York City sheriffs. No enforcement takes place. Meanwhile, on Wednesday, we had a surprise OCM inspection at our store to make sure that our colors aren't too bright and our vendor brand logos can't be seen from outside the store. Fine, we're licensed and we have to comply. That's fine, but it's a slap in the face to have us being driven into bankruptcy due to the state and city enforcement agencies' apathy and neglect over the growing illegal store problem.
Thank you.
It needs to be addressed. Fix it.
So unfortunately, we're getting really close to time. I'm going to call the next 5 folks, and that may be it for today. We'll see how we proceed. And so as a reminder, you have the QR codes on the desks. We encourage you to submit your comments online if we don't get to you. Omari Eastman, followed by Kate Hibby, Clayton Robertson, Garrett Ing, and 1, 2, 3, 4. Omari Eastman, Kate Hermby, Thurmby, Clayton Robertson, Garrett Ing, and Danny Cogan.
Hello, good morning. Good morning. I'm a micro business applicant, just me, my dad, and my brother. And we just want like a little bit more, I guess, experience when it comes to that. And also, I don't share the same settlements as the other guys that say we need like less saturation. We need a little bit more because there's delis on every corner selling weed. And like the reason why they don't go to dispensaries and they go to the delis is because they sell better weed with cheaper prices. So like that's a big reason why you'll see sales going down. So like that's just how I feel. But if you talk to people in the hood or anybody else, they go to regular people. So thank you.
Thank you. Kate, Himby, if you could just say your name.
It's Kate Ruby. Sorry, silent H. Check. Anyway, so I'm Kate Ruby. I'm a lobbyist, a regulatory consultant. I wanted to congratulate you, Jessica, on your appointment to the board. I think it was like, I don't know, 9 months ago that I testified about the PCA waiver, and I felt like you were listening, and I felt like John and Pat were listening. And I am very, I think it's a good compromise what we have that we are now adopting, and I appreciate you listening. I also appreciate the no vote, and the office might not like that, but you all are not a rubber stamp, and I think that you know that. And that's good. We're here to deliberate. We're here as a democratic, society to consider this program. On that note, I was pleased, although somewhat concerned, to see that the cannabis showcase regulations have not yet hit the register from May. I think they need a lot of work, specifically when they come to micro businesses, and John may disagree, although you're going on vacation, so. Probably harder work. But specifically when it comes to micro businesses' ability to participate on the retail side, because they are authorized as retailers. And if you are to say, well, they're only supposed to sell their own product, yes, but much like other folks in the supply chain, micro businesses under 123.11 and 123.12 are authorized to both purchase cannabis flower from cultivators, as well as send their products out for processing without giving over title and take it back. So there are other entities, if they choose, which they should be allowed, just like an ROD, to choose in what capacity they participate. They should be able to participate as retailers, meaning they can use their site, they can organize an event, they can also participate in pop-ups and pop-up locations as well. And they can bring on, if they have a processor that further process their flower, they could have them participate as a production side licensee. They could also have a cultivator from which they brought flower and then further process and participate. So anyway, food for thought. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Clayton Robertson, followed by Garrett Ing.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Clayton Robertson. I'm just a manager at Third Rock Dispensary in South Glens Falls. I didn't know the public comment. If it's not for today's agenda, sorry. At our dispensary, we started scanning the COAs, and we noticed like the yeast and mold and then aerobic bacteria. We have some of them that have literally like 9 million yeast and mold and stuff. The other states, most limits are 10,000. Some states are 100,000. And I saw that from my research, New York got rid of the limit total. Like we test for yeast and mold, but they got rid of a limit in 2024. And I just don't see why. Like I have my bachelor's, I'm not a scientist, but I know yeast and mold are different. But I would rather not smoke mold than from what I found, the research was a bottleneck, is that the cultivators couldn't meet the standards. So I feel like it should be a hard standard. If you can't meet the standard, why are you getting rid of the standard and having people smoke moldy weed? So
thank you for that.
That's all.
Garrett Ing and Danny Cogan.
How you doing? My name is Danny Cogan, OCM RETL 2023-000650. I submitted my retail application October 15th, 2023. with my secure lease, my notice to the municipality, the lottery pushed me over to the end of the line. Today, there's no more queue. I saw the examiner on March 2025 because of my 1855. He went over my application. That's why everybody's in process. If we were not in process, it would be red. So I'm not sure why John was saying that once you're in process, it's good. You're either in process or you're deficiency. So everybody who's in process with the other 400 people, that means that our application is good. You know, if we were not in process, that means that we're deficient. So I don't know why I'm still not getting my provisional license. So I don't know where I stand right now. Can I give you paperwork?
Yes, please. You are Danny Kogan? All right, so what we'll have limited time for one more. Hamid Michael and Andelat, yep.
Good afternoon. Chairwoman, Ms. Garcia, Commissioner, and members of the board. First, congratulations to Ms. Garcia on your appointment as Chair of the Cannabis Control Board. I sincerely hope your leadership ushers in a renewed era of transparency, accountability, and fairness at the office. My name is Hamid Michael Ardebili, and I'm a founder and owner of iDispense NYC. I come before you not just as a licensee, but as someone who genuinely believes in the vision of New York's Cannabis Equity Program, a vision that promised opportunity for those harmed by past policies, not another layer of barriers. I invested my entire saving, signed a lease, paid 4 months security and rent, and committed myself fully to build a compliant, community-conscious dispensary. I even presented my plan to community board where it was well received, earned support from local leaders and neighbors, ultimately receiving CB4's approval. Then months later, without any meaningful explanation, I was told that my proposed location did not meet proximity rules, but only after I had already sacrificed everything. The local map, which your office directed us to rely on, indicate the site was viable. My attorney confirmed it. I trusted your system, and now I, not the map, not the office, not the process, I am paying the price for that trust. 30 seconds, I'm the last one, so we're leaving after here. I'm so sorry, with all due respect. You did that last time, I couldn't finish. I hear you. Let me finish, we're out of here. Just 2 sentences.
Finish your 2 sentences. You're losing precious time.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. MRTA was not created to break people like me. It was created to uplift us. And yet here I am with no location, no deposit return, and no clear path forward unless I somehow find a new location. This isn't just a denial. It is quiet. It is dismantling of our dream, a punishment of believing a process that promised equity but delivered confusion and instability.
Thank you. Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you. All right. And apologies to anybody we didn't get through today. I am going to get better at keeping time and working with our team on that. Before we conclude the meeting, I know our executive director had another announcement to make.
Yeah, just really quickly, a lot of you have brought up particularly on a particular area of the state where the town and the city have made it difficult for you to open even though you have licensure. So today going up on our website is information, a one-pager on submitting a request for unreasonably impracticable. So if you go to cannabis.ny.gov/localities, you can find out more information about if this is your situation, submitting a request to the office that we have a team in place to review. So it's not going to be, many months. And to review those requests and put them before the board if that is your particular issue. So again, that is cannabis.ny.gov/localities, where you'll find the unreasonably impractical one pager and information on submitting your issue if that is your matter in your locality where you have challenges in opening due to municipal action. All right.
Thank you. Thank you. So in terms of closing notes, I hope you don't hate me for this, Nick, but I am going to ask if you do have any issues that you do need to discuss. We have Nick Perry here who works directly with the board, and he'd be happy to speak with you. He's raising his hand right here. And obviously we have the other members of the OCM team here as well who can answer questions, possibly. Not everybody can get an easy answer. Our next scheduled board meeting is already up. It's going to be July 25th in Troy, New York. And if you look online, the meetings for the remainder of the year have also been posted. So if you are able to join us, we'd be happy to see you. The website will also have the link to the live stream. As always, and the minutes will get posted in about 10 days. That concludes the business for today. Can I have a motion to adjourn the meeting? All right, all in favor? All right, fantastic. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone.